We'll do a call to order, and let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. As public notification of this meeting, it has been published, posted, and distributed in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. And the first thing we need is approval of the agenda. All right, there we go. There we go, Brian. All right, so that's the, that moves forward then to the approval of the minutes from September 19th. Does anybody have any comment?
So moved.
So moved. Second?
Sure.
Nick, okay, there we go.
Chris.
We're moving right along.
Absolutely.
Now we're gonna move to public comment, which I'm gonna go ahead and say that there will be no public comment since we have no one from the public here. We were gonna have snacks and treats at the next month's meeting to see if we can bring in somebody from the public. So for those of you watching at home, it'll be a surprise on what treats will be here next month. So with no public comment, we'll move to the director's report. John?
All right, we're going to go into a quick halftime break here and see if we can get the presentation up on the screen. There we go. That was quick.
There we go. Oh, it's here.
Well, I hope everybody's enjoying the cool weather out there, or as somebody at the gym referred to it this morning, we had fall between 6 o'clock and midnight, and now we're in winter.
Yeah.
So that's what that was a take this morning.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful now, so we're in the nice season, at least for a few days. I think it's going to be warm again next week, so who knows? All right, well, already in October, just a quick note, remember next month at this meeting in Hilton Head, we'll have our Air Service Development team with us. So we'll have 3 people from Volair, and we'll be getting a market update and Air Service Development update and that sort of thing. So that'll be during the board meeting, so we'll give them, some time to talk. So make sure you are ready for, not a marathon meeting, but longer than a 40-minute meeting. We'll probably give them, 40 minutes or whatever to talk. So anyhow, that'll be next month. All right. We're going to hope that the clicker works today. All right, so go through. Oh, we tested it? Yeah, but that never actually means anything, This was a fun picture we took just a couple of weeks ago from across the way at the ARF, and you can see the steel going up on the building. So it's kind of nice to look across the field and see that happening. And this was kind of cool. I took it with my iPhone, so with the iPhone, if you hold the picture, you see the motion. Don't you guys know that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The live
Yeah,
picture.
it's cool. It's a live picture. But in that picture, I tried to time it just right because we had American Airlines was just backing out. As you can see, that one backed out. We had another one that was taxiing up Foxtrot, and we had another E-175 that was taking off. And on the live picture, if you hold it, you can see all that happen. So it's actually 5 175s in one shot, which is kind of fun.
Wow.
So that was a pretty cool, busy shot. But anyway, terminal's looking great. We'll show you some pictures of that. Hang on just a second. Just give me a minute. Where do I aim this thing? Do you know?
Like right here, try.
All right, let me see if I can get this. I really want to do this. Nope, they're going to aim it at the TV because sometimes they mess with us. Come on. You really tested this one?
Yes, we tested it before that.
Is it turned on?
You don't turn this. It is actually on.
throw it,
Yeah.
maybe
But thank
this-
you. I'm going to turn it off and back on. Let's see what happens. 'Cause
Operator headspace and time.
choice.
Yeah.
Is it batteries? Sometimes it's
That's a
the
good
side.
question too.
Right.
All right, let's go.
Just rotate it.
Let's do a reboot.
Really?
You can't just say next slide?
I don't like doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is, come on.
In the old days, you had another person operating and said, change the slide, please.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
There.
That's what he just said. You need new hearing aid batteries. Did I do that or did you do that?
I did.
Yes.
She's letting you struggle there.
You should have just let him push the button and you push the button and he would never
She's
know. It would
holding
be our little secret.
the block remote button there,
Yeah.
so I'm up here struggling,
You just use your finger and next
Oh,
time.
my goodness. I could have walked over there and done it. All right, so we had the Flying Frog 5K this past weekend on Saturday. Had awesome weather for it. It was like low 50s, no wind. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful out there. And actually no bugs at the end, which was surprising. Normally you finish up and then the sand gnats descend on you. But we had good race. I think we had somewhere around 60 runners at the race. I did put the names up there because we did, for the first time ever, have the county administrator out there to run. And we had a county council member running as well. So Logan Cunningham ran it. And then Tab Tabernick came up from Sun City to volunteer. So it was great having some representation out there. Also had Mark out there helping us out. And Dave Nellums was there as well. So we appreciate having the representation out there helping out. But good race, and we are already registered for next year. I think it's the 15th, right? October 15th. So I'm going to tell you, you got almost a full year. You have 363 days to start training. If you can't get ready for a 5K in that time, then I don't know what to tell you. But if you need roller skates or something, if that helps, you can do that.
Did you
But
run in it?
anyway, sorry?
Did you run in it?
I did.
Okay.
Yep. So anyway, be ready for next year. And if you don't want to run it, then volunteer it. You're going to volunteer to go out there. We'll have some new volunteer positions, I think, out there. And we do want to have, potentially next year, have hangar tenants open their doors and maybe have the airplanes pushed out so there's something to look at during the race. Well, not to trip over. They cannot be powered up. We don't need any propellers. Well, that would add an interesting dimension to the race, wouldn't it? Yeah, that could be a TV show, reality TV. So anyway, October 15th next year, good run. I didn't even hit the button. Did you? She did. See, she's moving me along. I'm long-winded, I hear you. Okay. All right. These, if you haven't seen these before, these are closure X's for the end of the runway. These are nice LED ones. They're the high-speed guys, real easy to set up. But they come in real handy because they're so much better than using the fabric X's that you have to lay down on the runway and sandbag down so the wind doesn't curl them up. They're really, really visible. It's interesting. I did hear something. I think it was at the Charlotte conference that we were at. There was somebody who was talking about researching these because there's actually been complaints by pilots that with the LEDs, it doesn't look like an X. It just looks like one big white blob out there. So they're actually researching intensity levels of the LEDs to try to get it so that X shows up as an X and not just a big white light at the end of a runway.
Well, the other suggestion, since with LEDs, you have the option, it's very clever, where you can make it any color you want. And one of the ways to get around that is they should make the color of the LEDs yellow to match the cross. And that way
There you
there won't
go.
be any confusion.
Okay. Yeah, and then maybe that's something that they're looking at too, is that color. That's a good idea. So anyway, that's a great piece of gear to have, or two pieces of gear to have, so that saves us a lot of time and energy. So now we into the update. All right, terminal updates. Now sit back and relax. We're going to show you a bunch of slides of what's going on at the terminal. A lot of steel going up, as you can see. And you'll see some site work mixed in here as well, but it's really coming along. Got the crane out there, so they're able to move a little bit quicker. But it is coming together.
And they feel like they're on time? You guys are on, pretty much on time on what they thought the schedule would be?
Yes, yep. Yeah, and there's, you get little delays here and there inside a schedule, but since it's a 2-year project, they've got plenty of time to, to adjust. These are some of the crosswalks that are going in. These are the extended speed humps that'll be in the new lane across the front. Sidewalks are being poured there, and some of these have oyster shell finishes, as you can see there. And that's a new roadway getting its base put in, curbing getting installed. That's the new entrance to the parking lot. So there we are. That's the terminal update in 43 slides. All right, we also have a time-lapse camera out there, and we're working on that with IT to make sure we get some good footage of that so that during the project and then at the end of the project, hopefully we can kind of show mostly a start to finish progress video of the terminal, so that'll be pretty cool. All right, so kind of wrapping up the last bits here, the Title VI plan, we put that up there because that's a federal requirement along with like the DBE plan, and that has to do with, like I said, a federal requirement with the grants, and the Title VI plan is something that basically says non-discrimination in bidding and awarding of contracts and that sort of thing. But it's a heavy lift because the county, I think, is able to use, the county itself, when it gets federal grants, is usually through South Carolina DOT as the administrator of those grants. So the county as a whole is able to lean on DOT for all these policies, whereas the airport, because we're getting federal grants through the FAA, has to have our own DBE policies and plans, our own Title VI policies and plans. So it all falls to us to put that together. But Rocio and Marlene are working with the folks at the FAA to make sure that we get our plans put together, and that'll all be published on our website when they're completed. So we'll be in full compliance with what the feds need. And the folks at the FAA are super helpful, and they realize that the smaller airports don't have a whole department to take care of this sort of thing, so they kind of coach you through it. But that's kind of the update there. So that'll be, when's that wrapping up?
We're the 30th, we have to submit it.
Okay, so we've got the draft in, I think, right?
We're gonna submit it next week.
Yeah, so we're in good shape for that. But the staff's been doing a lot of work on that. And then FAA and TSA legal issues, I thought I had removed that one, but apparently maybe you downloaded it before I updated it. I'm not gonna talk about that. That's more of an executive session issue. So that's why I was deleting that one. Breakfast Club is coming up at ARW.
Well, just a question on that. Are
You
those
can't-
two
I'm not-
separate? I know, but are they just, are they?
Yeah, they're two separate.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, so we know what the FAA one is.
Yep.
That was already, and that was in the paper as well. I think I read something about it in the paper
don't know.
last week or the week after. Island News, I think, had something in there.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I don't read the paper.
I was sitting in a doctor's office. I
bad
typically
news.
don't
I
either,
don't like
but
bad
it was
news.
there.
All right, and then Breakfast Club is coming up on the 17th of November. Okay, so that's a fly-in event, or come on over. And we are looking for some help on that, I believe, for volunteers and that. Marlene and Eric are gonna probably be reaching out to folks for some help.
Yeah.
So if anybody's good at flipping pancakes and
What
stuff
was the
like
date,
that.
date
17th,
of November?
yes. It's a Sunday.
Okay.
Might be able to do it.
At ARW.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, and we'll get some
Yeah.
follow-up to you from, probably from Marlene. Quick update on hangars out of ARW. That's moving along pretty well. This week, Steve and Eric were up at South Carolina Aeronautics, and we had applied for a grant for the site work portion of that, and we were awarded a grant for, I think, round about 1.3 million. 1.38 million, so a nice big piece. And Aeronautics had just changed their formula from a 40-60, so 40% us, 60% them, to a 30-70. So we do 30% and they got 70. So that was very helpful, and that's a recent development. Thank you to the commissioners. Ann's one of them. But that helps us out, and it's definitely needed at an airport like ARW. So we've got that now that we can add to our application that'll go forward to county's finance committee on the 28th. So anybody, Chris, I don't know if you want to rally the troops again who came last time, but it would probably be good to have a couple folks
Right.
here. We'll get you the time. It's usually a 3 o'clock meeting, Monday at 3, but if you can make a note, Rocio, we'll make
Yeah,
sure we
put
know
that
what
out,
that
yeah,
time
because I
is.
think that ran over a little, the meeting before us ran over a little bit, but,
Yeah,
yeah, just block off, if you can come, just block off more time than you think, because it went on.
and right now, the proposal that we've got has the support of county finance and the county administrator. So it looks pretty positive, and we'll get the last details figured out here relatively soon, and then move forward with that. So that's good news. And then the contract for that is going to be going to county council, I think on the same day, right, 28th? Yes. 28th, yeah. So the site work contract for Gulfstream construction will be going to council on that same day. So And that's already been approved by committee, or no, it's going to be approved by committee. I forget the dates. Anyway, that's moving forward. 21st and 28th? Yeah. So that's moving
And
forward
do
too.
you think, when do you think we'd have dates on when, and the reason why I'm asking this question is I think I know what's gonna happen, is when we have the dates on when dirt is gonna start to be moving, that's when all the pilots out there that are waiting on hangars will start to believe that it's happening, and then we're gonna be inundated, or Eric's gonna be inundated, I won't say we, with phone calls about it, and so we may wanna have a plan in place to say, here's what the steps are, and have that ready to go, so we, that keeps the excitement rolling, and we get through on how far on that waiting list, and it'll clean up again.
Right. Yeah, and Steve and I were talking about that this morning, that once this gets through committee, we'll kind of dial in those numbers a little bit better and get with you guys and talk about what that needs to be. And then we can start looking at whether we want to advance things or how it works as far as getting the agreement
I would
set up.
say, I would say you'd want to do commitments so that you can figure out where everybody is and really how many people. And once again, it's just a cleaning of the rolls on that to see.
Yeah.
And then it'll give other people maybe who don't make it, wherever we end up ending at, at least they know where they're at if any other options come up.
Okay, good. All right, PFC number 6, that's, if you remember, pastor facility charges, that applies to Hilton Head. That is in for a final review by the FAA and will hopefully be implemented maybe November, right? I think is what they're telling us, so a little bit quicker than we thought, which is great. Awesome team up in Atlanta and the FAA, working on this stuff for us. So that'll mean we'll start collecting the PFCs again on those, on the tickets. And that helps offset, that pays us back for our portion of projects. So when we do that 10% sponsor share of the projects at Hilton Head, we put those projects on the PFC, and over time, that pays us back. So that's very helpful. And the more people on airplanes, the better. So as we work through marketing plans, any kind of promotional plans, whether it's local or in the out markets, all those, there's so many different levels of reasons of why that helps the airport, but one of the big ones is just putting butts in seats. That's what it comes down to. You need people in those seats flying, and we tell the hotels, we'll put the butts in the seats, you can put the heads in the beds, and we're all happy. We all get our taxes and fees, and it's all good, so.
Still 450?
Still at 450. Yep, for the last 24 years. It's been at 450. So, I actually just we get a membership survey from AAAE every year, and I just filled one out yesterday, and that was one of the items I said, and granted, they'll get a chuckle out of it because they've been advocating on behalf of increasing the PFC, but for whatever reason, it's really a tough issue up on the Hill to do that. There's a very strong lobby against it. But I wish we could get just, 20% of the CPI or whatever for the last 24 years would be lovely. So anyway, I don't look for that to increase, but we will be implementing that, and we'll see, $4.39 of each of those, because 11 cents goes to the airlines for, collecting it and writing the check to us. Yeah, that's how that works. All right, I think that's all I've got. You guys have anything else that I forgot? All right, that's all I had on my list. Anybody got questions for me about either one of the airports?
Anyone have any questions? Howard, no questions.
Quiet today.
Wow.
Wow,
That's
quiet
not
Howard.
feeling well. Usually we're, yeah. Okay, so, don't move, because I don't think we have any unfinished business from last week or the week, or last meeting, correct? So we'll move straight on into the new business, and start with action item number 1.
All right, so this is a contract award recommendation for Quality Enterprises, and they're going to execute the runway rehab project at ARW. And so we received, I think we had 3 bidders on that project, and Quality was the lowest qualified bidder. And so according to procurement code, they're the ones we offer the contract to. We've had a preliminary conversation with them just to talk about rough schedules, And once we get that contract in hand, then we'll solidify the schedule. But they're good, they're ready to go, and so we're moving this through the process. And this will be on the Public Facilities Committee agenda for Monday, this coming Monday, the 21st, and it would then be approved by council on the 28th.
And that is, Quality's the same one that did the extension at
Right.
Hilton Head, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Anybody have any questions regarding it? And you'll have leeway, I guess, it's gonna be worked out on timing on, how much room do we have on timing on that when we do it? Because I think you had said before in other meetings, take roughly 30 days to do the resurfacing and
Yeah,
everything.
it's actually a 15-day project.
It's a 15-day project.
Right, so we kind of had a little wiggle room in there just
Yeah.
in case weather or
Okay.
something like that. But they do have it's a 15-day schedule, so it's quick.
Okay. And we've got how much flexibility do we have? How much time?
There's never any time or flexibility. We have none,
We have none.
none,
Get it in, get it done.
no. So we're gonna shoehorn it in there.
Okay. So we can't pick like February or a month that we know that we're slow, or that's what I was
Well,
looking at.
yeah, kind of, sort of, but we also took a look at the tournament schedule for Secession,
Yeah.
and they're busy.
Oh, I know
They're
they are. yeah.
Busy, busy. So we picked a couple of weeks where it looks like they're not quite as busy. And as long as we get the contract approved and the weather holds out and everything works out with the asphalt plants, then we'll be good. So tentatively, we have and I'm not gonna give you the dates now because of I know nobody's here today, but there's a huge audience watching this at home.
Right.
So,
What, 2 or 3?
Well, one of them is my
100,000,
wife.
Rich.
So that takes out, so I've got 33% of the viewership.
So John, the rehab is just a capping, or is it complete removal?
No, it's an overlay, right? 2-inch overlay is what it is? Yeah, overlay, and then
And they're
we'll come back
grooving
and
it,
groove it. Yep.
FYI too, Chris, you might be, the paint that goes on after the overlay is a temp paint. And so they come back after 30 days when the asphalt cures and do the
No.
permanent paint.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't want you to get confused with, that you might have heard that before and thought 30 days. It's 15 days.
Yeah.
They come back 30 days.
30 days
and
later,
do the
okay.
paint again.
Yep.
That'll be done at night.
The same with
Okay.
the grooving weights.
Grooving, yeah, same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there temperature issues with paint this time of year, or is it gonna be later?
Less with paint, more with asphalt.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, so I need a motion. Howard, I knew it. Brian, second. All opposed? Hearing none, it passes for the contract award. So we'll move on to the second resolution.
All right, so this is, we've actually had an agreement with Best of Hilton Head before, but it's kind of an interim agreement as they were kind of trying out the airport with their shuttle services, so now they're ready to go into a full agreement. So very similar to other agreements that we've got on the airport. This one's got a couple of nuances too, because they are our only bona fide shuttle service. But the details are in the agreement, and it's like the rest of these where it is a revenue generating agreement for the airport. So no cost to the airport, and there's a per trip fee that they'll pay the
Yeah,
airport.
I thought it was $5 for sure, and then $1 for every passenger.
Right,
Right?
yeah, it's a minimum of 5, and then
Yeah.
if they pick up 10 people, then it's $1 per person, so.
John, what's the best of Hilton Head?
Well, it's the name of their company.
Yeah, it's a shuttle
It's
service.
a shuttle service, and they've named themselves Best of
Best
Hilton
of-
Head, so.
Since they're the only one, it's very easy on the voting of who is the best. Well, we are, because we're the only one.
Their board voted on names, and mediocre didn't pass. They went with Best.
Do they operate a certain schedule to go to certain places, or is it on demand?
No, it's on demand.
Okay.
Yep.
Will
Okay.
they go anywhere on the island, or just to the hotels?
I think they go anywhere, isn't
I
that?
think we
Yeah.
were concerned with them coming to us and not really whatever else they do, but I do think it's a service you can call and they'll
just come
accommodate.
Yeah.
Are they restricted to just the island?
That I
So-
don't remember.
so?
I think that they're,
Bluffton.
Okay.
yeah, I think that they focus on the island. I don't know about gated communities, but
Yeah,
a lot of times they have the gated communities too, but I can't recall if they do.
So it's a shuttle Uber.
Kind of.
Yes.
yeah.
Yep,
That's good.
yep.
Okay, so we'll need a motion for that. Rich, got second? All right, Mark, look a little hesitant, a little disappointing, but you finally got it
We'll
going.
come down the line here.
Yeah,
Get everybody.
all right, anyone opposed? Hearing none, that resolution passes. We'll move on to resolution number 3.
All right, this resolution is, I might have touched on it last month,
Yeah,
but
we
this
did.
is one of the recommendations that we got from our wildlife survey and then the report that came back. And this was to draft a policy, believe it or not, and don't feed the animals policy. Sounds funny that you have to have that in an airport, but we do. And so this is our draft policy, and once you approve it, then we'll move it on to council because it has to have a resolution to be approved by council to be put in our rule book.
Okay. If there's any discussion on this, I'm gonna be
Just deal with
surprised, but it's,
two-legged and four, just deal with two-legged and four-legged
This
animals,
is-
or just a four-legged?
look, with our Monkey Research Center in Yemassee, I had one at the boat store, not the boat store, the car store, a monkey had gotten out. And we had a problem with it at the car store. Took us about took them about 4 months.
Do we wanna know what the disposition of the problem was?
I don't know of the total. I don't know of the end result. I just know the monkeys was no longer at the car dealership. So that's all I can say about that.
Is he at Butler Marine now?
Yeah. So, I need a motion.
I had a question for.
Oh, okay.
The only thing I didn't see when I read that was, what do you do with somebody that violates the policy?
I think that was in there because it.
I might have
it's-
missed it.
Yeah, it's, I will say it's geared mostly, the only people we can really influence are tenants. You know, so that would violate the agreement that any tenant has with the airport because there's a catch-all phrase in all of our agreements that say that they have to abide by all rules and regulations. So that would put them at odds with their agreement.
Okay.
It makes it tougher if an individual is constantly feeding animals.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? No? You want to go ahead and take the motion? Second over here? I can't give it to you every time. I'm going to give it to Ann. Ann got the second.
Trying to move it along.
I know, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So is there anyone that is opposed to the motion? No? Motion passes, so we'll move on to number 4, the BCAB meeting schedule for 2025.
All right, so hopefully everybody got a chance to review that and, you don't really get to change it anyway.
No, I was,
So everybody
I
just
looked
say
at it,
aye.
I'm like,
Okay, sure.
Sound good?
it looked good, yeah.
All right, well, we'll take that as unanimous consent, that's approved.
Unanimous consent on it.
That works.
Okay, perfect. So that, well, I guess we do have to vote on it though, don't we? So
Sure,
we'll
go
have
ahead.
to,
I don't know if we voted on it before, but it sounds good.
Well, go ahead, we'll be official. I'm giving it to you. This is a layup, all right? Second, Jim? There we go. Anyone opposed? Let's move it on down the line to chairman update.
Okay. It's all you, thank you.
Oh, and the chairman update, well, going through, so one thing is, we need to make a change on the finance committee. Rich wrongfully accused me of not reading one of his emails, which was completely baseless and untrue. I did read the email. I did not remember the email, is our problem. So, we need to add Rich to finance committee, please. The rest of the committees, is there anybody that wants to be on something? You should have all gotten a list and all have read it thoroughly. Anyone want to be moved on any committees? Everybody's good on where they're at?
I'd like to point out that the computer that you use has made an error when you deal with the Hilton Head Airport Improvement Committee. You will note that the mission is to improve the airport environment for Hilton Head.
Beaufort County Airport
Yeah,
tenants.
we do enough for Beaufort County, we're the Beaufort executive.
Okay,
Good eye, Howard.
obviously, you can, Howard's got a little bit of I'm not gonna,
Chip, is that? the word?
chip was the word I was looking for, and that's a hard word for my educational qualifications to come up with all these people watching at home. So, okay, so that should solve then, that list should be finalized, and that'll be resent out to you with everybody's on there. And we already got an ARW committee update. And I don't think, well, Leslie is recovering from shoulder surgery, that's why she's not here. And she had given her, her update last month. At last month's meeting, we won't need another one until we're back to it. One question I do have for you, though, dealing with that, do we have a passenger count? Do you track it from last year to this year? Is it more or less?
For where?
At the risk of calling you on not reading your package ahead of time, Chris.
It did?
Every month, yeah,
No, but in relation
ARW?
total, I'm talking for the total.
yeah.
Right,
You have
it'll
deployments,
show-
deployments in total.
Yeah, okay, but I'm thinking on deplanements for all, is that all straight commercial only?
Yes.
Only, okay.
Yes.
That's what I wasn't sure if charter was included sometimes. in that
No,
or
we
not.
don't see
Okay.
that at Hilton
So it's
Head.
only, okay,
Yep,
all right.
so I guess we'll let that slide.
Yeah, it was a misunderstanding of what I was reading, of the information.
It's probably in Rich's email at the bottom.
Yeah,
Those qualification, education
Yeah.
qualification issues again.
do we have anything from the Hilton Head Airport Improvement Committee, Brian?
No, nothing new.
Okay,
Airport's running fine for now. So other than the control tower constantly losing power, which seems to be, is somebody fixing that? I mean, just the other, I had to take a flight to Kansas last Thursday, and I taxied out to the end of the runway, and when it was time to take off, I called the tower, got no response. Called the ground control, got no response. Tried to see if the AWAS was working for the weather, got nothing.
When was
So this was a week ago today, last Thursday. So I turned the airplane around and pointed toward the tower, and what did I get? A green light gun signal. They actually work.
All right.
So that was my clearance for takeoff. That's the only way I got out of there. And then I heard, a few minutes later, somebody was on a handheld radio and said the power had gone completely out in the tower.
The
And,
power went up, they still had lights for the gun.
yeah, they're
was it
working.
the
battery powered?
They're battery
Yeah.
powered.
yeah.
Yep, that is probably because we've done a complete replacement of the radios up there. I think we talked to you about that last
Yeah.
month with the grant. So that came in, the radios came in, everything got installed. So chances are you were out there as they had to power down to put the new gear in. And there's a little bit of a shaky time last week with the installer, so we got a new installer in there and everything's up and running now. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but let us know if you do have any, if you observe any other power issues. I know the AWAS is getting updated too. We're having some new conduit run there. So there'll be some improvements there.
And there was a problem with that for about 5 days
Yeah.
at night. When the tower was closed, you couldn't get any weather information for people coming in after hours.
And,
But
and
now
that
that's
was
working.
something to do with the
So,
cable running, right?
yes, and if I can clarify just a little bit, I was in the tower and I asked, who is that that's calling? And they said, Brian Teresi. I said, of course. Of all time, power for 5 minutes, it's Brian out there calling. But anyway, that was
So this is
a
done on purpose.
momentary power loss. The AWAS has always worked, and what we have is a problem with the communication line running from the station up to the cab. So there was a point, and that's what we're having corrected. The state is in charge of that, and they're coming in and rerouting the conduit line and rerouting the lines so that the data makes it up to the cab. The issue we're having, they had to come down, open up, and read the screen on the actual equipment, then run back up and do the weather. That's why there was an outage on that, but all that should be corrected.
Okay.
But their cardiovascular health has improved from going up and down the steps. So, it's a win overall.
Do you have a question?
John, was there any damage to the airport from Helene?
No, we had, a little bit of yard debris. We did have one tree down over in the hangar complex, kind of in that grass area in the back. And, well, actually, no, not there. It was between Signature and, it was that fence. So that's been cleaned up, and the fence, a section of fence will be replaced, has been kind of, put back into place. But I think that was the only, real damage we had there, other than some debris.
Along those lines, just to show you how dangerous social media can be nowadays, there was a rumor going around the day after Helene for 48 hours that the airport had been hit by a tornado. And it was completely false. I don't know where that came from, but that was spreading all over the place.
Probably TikTok.
No, that's because where we live, a tornado did do some damage, and the rumor was that it went up the coast and hit the airport. That's why I kinda asked.
The only official tornadoes after the National Weather Service came in was two of them had hit the Fusky Island, and one of them was in Beaufort.
Yeah. we
But
did
nothing
have
on
one
Hilton
here.
Head,
Yeah.
I
zero.
think they had one in Bluffton as well.
Yeah, so we
Maybe the Fusky one went to
we had
Bluffton.
no reportable damage
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
at either airport. They're fine.
Okay,
Good.
awesome.
All right.
So I think that ends all the committee reports. So I appreciate everybody for that, and we'll be ready for committee reports next month. And hopefully some big news on the earmuffs, Howard, the ARW hangers. You're gonna be able to come over, when they're done, we're gonna have a private viewing just for you, Howard. Seeing that there are no public citizens here, I think we can skip the citizens' comment. And we can look for a motion for adjournment. Rich, who wants that?
Sure.
There we go, we keep it
Bookends.
even on both sides. Approved, all against? No one?
I wanna stay here.
Approved, end of meeting. There we go.